Now your special moment is upon you. You get your first head coaching job in the professional ranks with the Kentucky Colonels of the new American Basketball League and that. And John Y. Brown is the owner, and he tell us about how you came to get that job and who were some of the players that played for you.
Well, at the end of the first year of being with the Bucks, I was offered 2 jobs in the ABA because of a guy that we all know, a lawyer, Herb Rudoy,
Yes.
who had plenty of players, ABA, NBA, and then overseas. Herb was one of the top agents at the time. I could have gone to San Antonio or to Kentucky. I wasn't ready, but I knew I wasn't ready. I was only in pro basketball 1 year. And then ABA, you had the 3-point line, you had a red, white, and blue ball, you had all these different rules, no foul outs, you know, a guy could stay in the game so you could keep your best players in the game. Why, you said, why did they do that? They did that so the fan would never be cheated, that the greatest players would play the whole game. Because then if they committed a foul, you got the foul shot, technical, and you got the ball back. So there were all kinds of things that they did in the ABA. Plus, go to ABA, there's pressing and trapping and full court zones, and you could do anything you wanted. So I wasn't ready, and I knew it. I stayed at the end of the second year. The Brown family, John Y. Brown, offered me. I went down, and I went through the interviews with he, and then his wife had a contingent of 7 women that sold the team tickets, and so I had to meet with them, and she offered me the job. Yeah, he thinks he offered me a job. You know, she offered me a job.
Right? The real boss.
That's right, and I'll never forget it. 45, 50, 55 for 3 years.
Wow.
Well, we don't know whether we're going to merge. Nobody knew that. Okay, so the first year, I now come back to coach a team. I knew I needed an assistant, and I went and got an excellent Stan Albeck. Stan was an ABA guy up in Denver, and then with Wilt Chamberlain with San Diego. Right?
And Michael Jordan's
That's
first
right.
NBA.
Oh, come on. No, it's Stan. Stan did a great job with Chicago, New Jersey, once he got his chance. And there we were. Well, the first team we have, there are only 10 guys on the team in the ABA, because that's all they could afford. 4 new guys, Stan Albeck and I. And fortunately, we have Artis Gilmore at center, Dan Issel at power forward, Louis Dampier at the shooting guard.
Pretty daggone good team.
Okay? Now, this is the best team by far that I've ever coached. Good teams in Atlanta, good teams in New York. Memphis kids were great. A lot of playoffs. This team was great. We averaged 108 during the season, gave up 92. When we went 3-1, I'm sorry, 4-1, 4-1, 4-1 in the playoffs, averaged 108, gave up 92. We could, our first unit, big, strong, execute half-court offense. Naturally, Gilmore and Issel, Hall of Fame guys. Louis Dampier, the greatest three-point shooter the ABA ever had, played in the league for 9 years. A legendary player. But our second unit, Preston Trap. You could do all the three-quarter, half-court, all that trapping. You could do anything you wanted. Those guys were so good. We played 10 guys a quarter. And we tie New York, who won the championship the year before. We play them a 1-game playoff. Dave DeBuscher was the commissioner. Flip a coin. We get home court. Sell out crowd. We beat them. So we win the league. And then we get first place in the playoffs, in the draw. So then we beat Memphis the first round. And we beat St. Louis because St. Louis upset the Knicks. I mean, the Nets. And by the way, how good was St. Louis? St. Louis only had Moses Malone, Caldwell Jones, Bad News Barnes, Ron Boone, one of the greatest guards ever to play in the ABA. All right, and then They had such a, Maurice Lucas, all these guys are on St. Louis, okay? People forget this. The league was loaded. And then in the final, we played Indiana, and Indiana, great team. George McGinnis, people say to me at the end of that year, who was the best player in the league? And I said, all right, we're going to play tonight. 25,000 I put up and you put up before the game starts. I want Dr. J playing one game. You can have anybody you want. And I said, now, we're playing a 3-game series? Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night? I'm taking George McGinnis, you can have Dr. J. Because George McGinnis, 3 nights back to back, I laughed today. At one stretch, because Lloyd Gardner, our trainer, just wrote a great book about the Colonels and winning the championship, and all about the league. It's a fantastic seller, naturally, in Kentucky. And in there, he's talking about us winning 9 games in 12 days.
Wow.
No private planes. You tell that to a player today, they're bitching and moaning about playing at 4 and 5. We're talking about going to the airport and getting to that next city, all right, and playing. But as you know, George, we didn't have the national television. But that team was the best team I ever coached. And unfortunately, that summer, they sold Dan Issel to the Baltimore Claws that never opened up for $500,000. That would be like $50 million today, all right? And then they sold them to Denver. So that's how Dan Issel ended up in Denver. And they sold our point guard, who was the best defensive guy in the league, Teddy McClain, 6'3", out of Tennessee State. All right, great guard, George. Could he defend? They sold him to the Nets for $150,000. Why? Because they needed money.
Yes.
That team was only together 1 year. And you go back and look at our scores in our 10 exhibition games against NBA, laughable. Because our league was loaded. You did not want to play the Nets, the Colonels, San Antonio, because to me, San Antonio had the best talent. Denver, with Larry Brown coaching Denver, okay? Those teams could play with anybody, any place, anytime. And we had the best officials because they rated the NBA and they had all the best officials in the league. The problem was no national television, and we played one another 12 times. So you could see the team 6 different times coming into your arena. So the only time we could sell out in Louisville is when we played Dr. J and the Nets. They sold out every place, every game.